Hi everyone. Before this video starts, I just want to apologize because the video was out of focus the entire time and I didn't notice. Still, since this doesn't take away from the wisdom in the video, I think it's still worth uploading. Plus, with exams looming over my head, I really didn't have time to re-record the video. Thank you all for being so understanding. Please like and subscribe.
Hi everyone, welcome to IB Helpline, or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. I am Louise and I share this channel with Keely, as you may or may not know, depending on whether you have or have not seen any of our previous videos. If you're watching this video because you actually have an essay that you need to cut down on, as I'm sure you've seen the title, I don't need to explain what I'm doing in this video. You're probably on a tight schedule and you're probably very stressed, so I'm not going to waste too much more of your time with a very, very long intro or a very, very long, wordy video. I'm just going to make this as quick and snappy as possible. I'm a very firm believer in putting absolutely everything you can think of into the first draft of the essay and then, working from there. But at the same time, when you've got this gargantuan essay and it's just a complete mess and you don't know what you're doing with yourself, it's kind of like, where do I go from here? Personal statements. If you're English, you know what that is, or if you apply to an English university, and if you don't, suffice it to say that it had a character limit, not even a word limit. And the character limit, I believe, was 4,000 characters. My first draft was literally over 7,000 characters. Obviously, the first step to editing any draft of an essay is to read it through. If you have a lot of time left before your submission deadline, then you can read it through and then work on the steps. Or if you don't have that much time, you can read it through and as you're reading it through, work on the steps. It all depends on how much time you have before you have to submit the essay. I would also say the steps that I'm gonna, recommend to you guys now, if you have a reasonable amount of time, I'd recommend doing them in the order that I give them to you. And then if it's still too long, going back over and over again and then again, in the same order. But if you don't have a lot of time, then you can sort of do them all around. You can sort of do them all at the same time. It's a bit of a trial and error situation. Step number 1 is to remove any very obvious repetition. I think when you're writing an essay and you're trying to make a point, it can be really, really easy to state the same thing several times in slightly different ways just to get your point across. And whilst this is not necessarily a bad thing, if you're limited for words and you're struggling to get your word count underneath the limit, this is a very good place to start to cut out things that are genuinely unnecessary. Step number 2 is to then go through and remove unnecessary words specifically. The English language is very broad, it's very that's, wow. I'm so eloquent. There's so many different ways to say the same thing in the English language is what I'm trying to say, and there are ways to say things that take a lot fewer words, and there are ways to say things that are very verbose and loads of words that you just don't need. So get rid of the unnecessary words and you find yourself getting closer and closer to the word limit. So the third step is to then go through and remove unnecessary points. So for example, things that sort of made sense to include when you were making your essay plan, but now are sort of a little bit distant from what the essay question is, get rid of them. I think this part is always the hardest for me because it's what is relevant and what isn't. The best way I can explain this is, just to focus on your essay question and to really make sure that every part that you're reading relates back to it, and if at any point you're sort of doubting whether it relates back to it, then you could consider removing it. Or maybe if it's something that for example, you could see your essay being just as strong without it even being there, you could get rid of it. I guess if you had a section of your essay explaining the background of a situation, which is sort of separate and not completely necessary to answer the question of the essay, but you thought it was necessary just for the understanding of the people reading the essay, that's maybe the kind of section you could be a bit more brutal on, rather than the section that is really key for the essay. So those are really the only 3 steps that I do when I'm cutting out words. I think it kind of goes without saying that after you do each step, you need to check what your word count is, because you don't want to get into a situation where you've gone through all the steps and haven't checked after each step and you're suddenly way below the word count limit and you have to like fill your essay back up again, and then you've just made extra work and extra problems for yourself. The first time you go over the steps, you might not be like that brutal. You could sort of be a bit gentle depending on how much time you have. And then if your word count isn't going down as much as you need it to, you can be more brutal, you know, going back over your essay, being more and more brutal until you get your word count to be where it needs to be. So yeah, those are the 3 steps that I use and have sort of, you know, come up with over the years. I don't really have any idea if they're original, and they probably completely are not, because that's kind of just the process of, you know, cutting out an essay. That's kind of how it works when you cut down words. But I'm very much always the person whose first draft is way over the word count. So these are just, I suppose, me rationalising and really thinking about the steps that I take and how I do it, and trying to deliver a process to you guys that can work if you're struggling. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. If you have an essay to write, you should really consider, you know, maybe getting off YouTube now and actually doing it. Aha! That's so hypocritical. Anywho, I hope this video helped you. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have good luck cutting down your essay's word count. I have been Louise of IB Helpline. You have been the struggling university or high school students trying to get your essay to a word limit that it needs to be set by potentially teachers or professors or whoever to get good grades. And I will hopefully see you all in the next video, unless Keely's the one who uploads the next video, in which case you will see Keely in the next video and then me in the next video. Please like and subscribe, especially if this video helps you, and especially, you know, if you want to check out more content on our channel. I will be signing off now. Bye bye. Oh, for goodness sake, I've got nothing to clip it on. So, oh, flip. Anyway, the third, and, you know, like, wow, I really am eloquent, aren't I? Anyway, like I said, this is a short, helpful video. I said video. I have been revising too much Spanish. I said video. Oh my goodness. It's cringy. I hate the outro. I hate doing the outro. I hate it. Oh my god. It's the worst part of the video. It's just like, bye. Bye. I'm saying goodbye to a camera that I then have to lean forward and turn off myself.